Gratitude, Mr. Speaker. I want to put a disclaimer on this point of personal privilege, and it's really important because of the climate that we're in. So as a warning, if you are a person that is sensitive about Black people talking about Black issues, or women talking about women's issues, or just the aspect of Black History Month triggers you, this is not for you. This is an actual Black History Month speech about Black women. Mr. Speaker, how do you determine the value of a Black woman? Is it through service or is it through servitude? As an experiment through World War II, that's back in 1944, the U.S. War Department established the 6888 Central Posting Battalion, which was the largest unit of Black servicewomen to deploy overseas. This unit was to serve as a sort of pass or fail test to determine the value of Black women might bring to the military. And that's not anecdotally, that's what the military leadership said. The battalion of over 855 women was led by this 26-year-old major named Charity Adams, who very, very quietly made history as the first Black commanding officer to be deployed in a theater of war for the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. This self-contained postal unit was charged with the seemingly impossible task of tackling the mail backlog of more than 17 million letters and packages addressed to Allied military personnel scattered across Europe during the final months of the war. Now, I don't know if you know this, Mr. Speaker, but in the military, mail call and morale go hand in hand, and they are both like Wu-Tang Clan. They ain't nothing to mess with. Major Adams had this sort of get it done son attitude, but she knew that the Army wanted to catch her slipping, whether it's through conduct or through performance. So she put that battalion on her back. In a bomb-damaged school with scant heat, barely any evening lighting, that served as both their barracks and their workplace, she split that battalion into 4 postal directory companies and divided up their duties. The women worked around the clock, 7 days a week, rotating 8-hour shifts. Each shift processed and assorted approximately 65,000 pieces of mail daily. Mr. Speaker, more than 7,500 Robert Smiths served in the European theater. Some of that mail was addressed to Junior or Buster. They had to research the letter for clues to get each package to the right person. Now, Major Adams, she was allotted 6 months to complete this mission. The 6888 did it in 3. And in December 1945, after their work was completed, they were discharged without any recognition. That same month, the Army promoted Adams to Lieutenant Colonel, making her the first Black woman to achieve that rank. This lack of recognition continued all the way up until last year, February 28, 2022, when the 7 surviving members would receive the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest expression of national appreciation Congress could confer. Mr. Speaker, Uncle Sam's poster, "We want you," was never meant for them, but they showed up. At a time when the Army was barely less oppressive than the places these Black service women signed up to escape, they showed up. And as a veteran and an American, I think about these women's service very, very fondly, Mr. Speaker. You see, that 6888 was originally imagined by General Eisenhower and Army leadership. They were sent there to perform duties as drivers, secretaries, and to provide companionship to Negro troops. This sentiment, it underscores the underestimation and devaluing and constant requirement for specifically Black women they had at that time to convince people of their ability to face challenges and accomplish the same things that you can, Mr. Speaker. Right now, Mr. Speaker, it is through your grace and the decorum of this House that I have the privilege to be seen and heard. You, Mr. Speaker, acknowledged me. And that's the ask of many Black folks, to be acknowledged and not dismissed. It took people like Oveta Cope-Hobby, the director of the Williams Army Auxiliary Corps, who asserted to General Eisenhower that the 6888 would not be posted overseas to do, they would be posted overseas to do the important wartime jobs that they were trained for and not to be anybody's companion. This woman spent her privilege. She recognized that these black women had value and that we needed to get our foot off their necks. This was a white Republican woman who saw these black women as humans rather than commodities. Again, she spent her privilege. Mr. Speaker, you can't help that you were born a white man. I can't help that I was born a black woman. We can't help these aspects of who we are, but we can use who we are to shift our shared culture towards decency. For many black women, especially those who have served this country, it would be nice to have our existence valued, but you don't have to value our existence or our lived experiences to honor it. So I need you to spend your privilege and get more people to do the same, Mr. Speaker. You're a powerful man. I'm a powerful woman. We got options, Mr. Speaker. We can lead, we can follow, or we can get out the way. So I'm kind of over living in a country that believes we should wait 50 years or till February to learn about black women in American history. Aren't you? Gratitude for the privilege of your time, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.